How's it going, everybody? Chris Carter. I still get questions on how I found the cherry, why I wanted to seek it out. I just wanted to kind of give everybody the story of how, why, when, where, what the hell was I thinking. I'm crazy. I seen the cherry just like everybody else did, surfacing the web with the tree falling on it in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. Probably about a year and a half ago, and I guess I made it my mission to find it. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't even think it existed. I just figured it was an old photo. I had messaged a couple people. One gentleman said that he was in, contact with the guy who took the picture of the cherry. And I just kept pestering him. Who's the guy? Send him a message. It took a long time. It took probably a year, actually, to, just, I guess, build trust and talk to the guy and let these people know what I do and who I am. So I believe it was the Monday before Thanksgiving. The gentleman told me the name of the guy who took the picture, and he said that he would email him again. But he didn't contact nobody. He just said it was kind of a dead end. So he gave me the name, and I messaged this guy, I bet 300 times, just every single day for about a week straight, actually. It was, like I said, the Monday before Thanksgiving when I got the phone number, and it was the Wednesday after Thanksgiving that I started on a trip to California. But I messaged the guy. He got back with me. He said he walked his dog on this property from the dog sanctuary, and just on a long walk, and discovered this van sitting on some property that a forest fire had came through and burned the entire mountainside. So there was an old homestead there, with some other stuff around it, and I believe it was California property at that point because it was a fire road after the fire had come through. So the dude gave me the whereabouts. I looked it up on Google Earth. I spent probably 3 days just staring at this little blip on Google Earth. And I went and asked my wife if I could take a trip to California. Or, I told her what I was thinking. And, she surprisingly blessed me and said go for it. So Wednesday morning after Thanksgiving, I set out on a 1,900-mile trip one way to even see if this van existed, see if I could get it. Me and my buddy drove 29 hours pretty much straight through. We came upon the property. I was following MapQuest in, and we started about halfway up the mountain. And it said it was a road, but it was more or less a friggin' goat path. And I got a 20-foot trailer behind me. So I crawled up this mountain, and it said no trespassing. So I backed right back down, and I sat there at the bottom of this hill, or the bottom of this mountain, thinking, I just drove 29 hours and 1,900 miles one way. I'm not going home empty-handed. So sitting there, I was mapping my route to the other side of the mountain because it was private property there. That's the reason it was, no trespassing. So as I'm sitting there, me and my buddy for about, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, here comes the first farmer out of his homestead. He looks at me, I got out, and he said, what the hell are you doing here, and who the hell are you? I explained to him why I was there. The van was at the top of the hill, it was landlocked, blah, blah, blah. He said, well, go heading up that hill. He said, if they're expecting you, the gate will be open. If not, there's a turnaround spot. So I crawled the rest of the way up the hill, only to find out the gate was locked. So I went back down the mountain. As we were coming back down, here's a blue car, way off in the distance. We finally make the mile trip to the end of the bottom of the mountain, and there's that blue car. Instantly takes a photograph of my truck, my license plate, myself. He gets out of the car, and he wasn't as friendly as the first guy. He says, why the fuck are you here, and what do you want? And I told him the same story, why I was there. You know, I said, I'm here for a van, you know, that I know is up there. And instantly he got this shrug look on his face, and it was the Cherry. And I said, that's it. And I said, is it up there? He answered, yes, it is. And he said, hang on, you know, he heard my story. He said, hang on a second. He wants to call the sheriff. Because evidently there was a sheriff owner, a landowner up there that lived on the mountain too. And the sheriff's property was next to the wild cherry. So he called the sheriff. The sheriff obliged. They let us on their property. Everything just happened perfect. You know, this happened. Everything was set up for everything to go wrong, but everything went right. So the guy in the blue car ended up being a Vietnam sniper, really a cool guy. His name was Brian. Just, you know, we got to hear his story, you know, of some of his life, and he got to hear our story on why we were there. And you know, I love restoring vehicles. I love history. To me, this is a piece of history, and I want to do whatever I can to preserve it. I mean, how many bands out there have been in movies and are, you know, somewhat famous? Not too many, you know. And for it to even exist for 25 plus years out in the mountains is unreal. It's like a mythical creature. So, you know, I have so many people to thank. This trip, the trip itself was wonderful. So many people. My boss, my wife, Matchstick, you know, Bob for going with me. Like I said, it was just an amazing trip. We plan on having this van done for Van Nationals. I plan on having the van done. It's, you know, pretty much my project. I've had a huge response of people donating money, freaking parts. It just blew my mind. I thought I was just gonna rescue a van out of the mountains, and you know, I just had no idea it was gonna turn into this. I got to talk to the original owner of the van. You know, he's gonna be planning the trip out, and it's just been amazing. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little background story on, you know, how I found it, just like everybody else did, floating the internet. And literally after a year and a half of messaging, bothering people, pestering people, never giving up, you know, I got to take my trip to California. I'm actually from Illinois, so it was quite the adventure. We got to stop by the Grand Canyon on the way back. You know, it's just amazing. So the wild cherry lived all of its life in California, and the last week it's taken about 5 or 6 states. You know, got to see the Grand Canyon, all kinds of crazy shit. So, again, thank you for listening. Thank you for following. And there's going to be a hell of a lot of work getting done to this thing in the next few months. So, that's it. Keep on trucking. Peace.